Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the 37th episode of the Triboro Podcast. I'm your host, as always, Justin Alonso, graduate student now officially, joined on the other side
Yeah.
of Discord by Nicholas O'Brien, graduate student officially. Well,
Graduate
you were
student?
last semester, but now you
Yeah,
have your
well,
diploma
officially.
because you
Yes.
walked on the stage.
Yes, some pretty big personal news. We just graduated over this past weekend. Wait, hold on. It's right here.
I pulled the
There we
Humpty
go.
Dumpty.
Wait for it. Wha-bam.
Right.
Look at that. But yes, we are now graduate students.
I pulled a
Some pretty
Humpty
big
Dumpty and had a
personal
great
news,
fall.
but he did, indeed.
Made a couple $100 off it.
Just a few. Just
a few $100.
quick
so
buck.
we're not. Yeah. But there was baseball that happened too, which was
There was baseball.
The last series, I don't know about you, but was very hard for me to keep up with.
Yeah, the week, as you guys might expect, this whole weekend was a little tough for us. So we graduated on Saturday.
Yeah.
And then obviously a lot of festivities and a lot of other things going on. But of course, we can never back down from the Triboro Podcast.
And even me, I was driving on Friday.
Here.
Like all day Friday, we were driving.
Oh yeah.
So like this entire series, I've been like bits and pieces.
Yeah.
But yeah,
we're still back at it. We're still here. Can never get rid of us, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. You can never get rid of us.
Yeah.
We're in your walls. Never. We're in your walls. But yeah, into the Bronx.
Now entering the Bronx.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Bronx. The Yankees won bowl series this week. Very solid week, but of course, before we get into that, your injury update brought to you by the Triboro MD. So, guys, get ready. I got the Declaration of Independence here. Oswald Peraza was transferred from from single A to double A on Friday for his rehab assignment. He's progressing well. Garrett Cole threw 29 pitches on Saturday off of a mound. Absolutely massive. He's doing great in his rehab. Jason Dominguez is starting a rehab assignment on Tuesday, which is completely... I did not know he was this close to literally playing live baseball. They said to play with him, DH him for about 2 weeks. Then he'll probably get like intermediate playing and yeah. But I just wanted to touch on him for a quick second. I think that he will determine if he plays or not.
I think so. Yeah.
I don't think they're going to rush him at all. If he is hitting, like, lighting the world on fire, they'll call him up and, like, DFA, maybe trade Grisham. They'll figure something out. But if he's not hitting well, he probably doesn't come up this year.
Yeah, we've talked about it a little bit before in the past. I know that much. That it might have been on the radio actually, but it's gonna be a tough situation when Dominguez is fully ready to come back because you have a crowded outfield. Like obviously, Judge and Soto mainstays, and then Stanton's been pretty solid, so DH is covered for the most part. Plus you rotate in and out, whatever. But yeah, I think the odd man out is probably Grisham. I think you would want to keep a Verdugo. But maybe if Verdugo has more trade value than Grisham, you trade Verdugo at the deadline, you play Dominguez. There's a lot of things that go into it, but obviously the easiest answer is just to keep him at AAA or wherever.
The only thing is that Verdugo this is like the last year on his deal, but then Grisham also has 2 years left this year and one more. One thing that I did not know. I did not know this. Trent Grisham has 3 minor league options.
Huh.
So that could be something very, very interesting. Just see how that pans out. Wait.
Yeah.
Free agent 2026. So he has 2.5 years?
I always get confused whenever it's like, oh, free agent in this year. I think he's a free agent in 2026, so he's a free agent after 25.
Let me look at this.
So I think he has a year and a half left, if I'm not mistaken.
Spot Rack, where are you? let's check this out right now. Okay, this does nothing to help me. Jesus Christ.
I'm pretty sure he has a year and a half.
I think he has a year and a half. That's what I think as
Yeah.
well.
That's what we're going with.
I did not know he had 3 options. That could be very funny.
Interesting. That could definitely be just, something to have in your back pocket.
Yeah.
Even if you don't use it. But
And then DJ LeMahieu on Saturday resumed batting practice. Scott Efros is close to facing hitters again. Lou Trevino shut down for 3 to 4 weeks with right elbow inflammation. And then Tommy Canley threw a perfect inning Saturday for single A. So,
yay!
literally, the only negative thing really is Trevino. Everything else is good. And even then, he didn't pitch for you like all last year because of Tommy John. And he was like a last-second signing, so they signed for like nothing, just like take a flyer. So, overall, very, very good news.
Definitely. Definitely.
I'm still shocked about the Dominguez news.
I was just gonna say that. That's the most surprising.
Because
he's moving quicker than I would have expected.
Like, say that it takes him 3 weeks to get ready, 4 weeks to get ready. There is and I don't think it happens, but there is a higher than 0% chance that he comes back for Cole. I don't think it happens, but the way it's going, if Cole doesn't really, if Cole stays on the track he's on right now and Dominguez just lights it up in AAA, there's a not 0% chance he comes back for Cole.
Yeah.
I don't think that happens, but just.
Yeah.
And I'm only saying because if it does happen, then I could say I told you guys it could happen, and then I'm the smart one, and then I'm pretty cool. I get to pat myself on the back and do my victory laps.
Yes.
But into the actual games themselves. So, Game 1 was a 10-3 Yankee rout over the Astros. Luis Gil outdueled another ace. I know Verlander. He's older. He's not the same Verlander. He still fucks the Yankees. I think in his last 9 starts, he's gone at least 6 innings.
Right.
So, he kills the Yankees. He still has the ace mentality to me. He is their number 1 pitcher.
That's fair.
He had a 2 ERA coming into the start. To me, he's still an ace until he just is not anymore.
But
yeah, Verlander went 5 innings, 8 hits, 7 runs. Only 2 strikeouts. I can't remember the last time he hasn't had a double-digit strikeout appearance against the Yankees.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah, they were jumping all over him.
He
was not fooling anybody.
Yeah. I think all 3 were off him. You had home runs from Volpe, Verdugo, and Stanton. I know Volpe and Stanton definitely were. I'm 95% sure Verdugo was off him as well.
Right.
But then Luis Gil. 6 innings pitched, only 1 earned run. The 1 earned run was a solo shot by Kyle Tucker in the first inning.
Yeah.
I'll get more into Gil later. Oh, trust me. I will get more into Gil later. But very impressive. You just... He outdueled
He's been a
another
godsend.
ace. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then Game 2, you got a 9-4 win. Carlos Rodon had a great start, going 6 1/3 with 2 earned runs, no walks and 7 strikeouts. Did have 7 hits, so a little bit there, but still. You had a home run from Soto, Judge, and Stanton. First time all 3 of them did hit home runs. Game 3 was a 4-3 loss. Mark Stroman had a very weird start where he gave up 3 runs in the first inning, but then kind of settled down, but still gave up base runners. Because he went 5 2/3, let up all the runs. So he let up 3 in the first, then kind of settled down, let up another in the 5th. So it's
yeah, he never got fully comfortable.
Yeah.
He had stretches, but there was never that retired 8 in a row, retired 5 or whatever.
Granted, he had 9 hits, but one thing we were talking about is the walks. He only had 2 walks. So we were talking about how the walks were skyrocketing.
Right. Yeah.
At least they got lowered a little.
Yeah.
That's the only silver lining you really have from that, other than really was only just 1 inning he got hit in. So.
Right.
And of course you had Volpe and Judge home runs in that game.
Lovely.
And then my overall thoughts on that series literally just says fuck the Astros.
Yeah.
That's literally all it says. There was one thing that I saw people saying that Carlos Rodon on Wednesday's game should have plunked Altuve in the first at bat. What is your thoughts on that?
Did I miss something? The game before?
No, nothing happened.
Just for the hell of it?
Just because, like, the whole stadium, like, the whole, like, fuck Altuve
Yeah.
chance even when he's not there,
No.
and just, like, an energy
I
thing.
think personally, I think that's stupid.
I do as well.
There's no reason. Like, I understand the mentality that's coming from it, but there's no reason for that. There's no reason to start off the game by giving up a base runner. He's older, but he's still pretty fast for his age.
And I'm pretty sure Kyle Tucker hit a home run in that first inning.
Right.
And it was only a solo shot.
Right. So then that could have been a 2-run shot. Like, it doesn't make any sense because, look, I understand if you really think about it, it all stems from years ago of 2017, obviously starting everything and just boils up because of the playoffs. But at this moment, there's no reason for that. Like, even Rodon, like, he doesn't really have, or at least I would think he doesn't really have, like, not a say, but, like, he's not really in this fight. Like, I don't think he's really a part of that rivalry just yet because he's still relatively
wrong, but
new.
I think he was one of the vocal guys when this cheating scandal came out. I could be wrong, but I think he was one of the more vocal guys. But the reason people were saying is, like, oh, like, what's more endearing to a fan base, to a guy that's been, like, iffy with the fan base than plunking Public Enemy #1? I think that could have been possibly the worst thing you could have done, because to me, brawls in, like, a full-on fight are one of the big things for, like, camaraderie and, like, building that team. What if that sets the Astros off? What if that kickstarts the Astros and Carlos Rodon would be responsible for bringing the Astros back to life?
Right. You
That's
don't want
my
to poke
thought
the bear.
process. You don't want to, like,
Yeah, that's fair.
you won 10-3 the night before, then you won Game 2 9-4. And the last game was a 1-run game in the 9th inning.
Right.
So I just think the best way was just to beat like, if something else happened, whatever they started and it's retaliation,
Right.
completely different.
That's different.
But just coming out of nowhere doing it, I don't know. I just saw people talking about that, and, like, my first thought was, why even risk?
Why?
Because I think you said this last week, that no one wants to be the team to wake up the Astros.
Right.
Because if you wake them up, like, that's...
Everybody's going to hate you.
Everyone's going to hate
Not just
you.
your own team and not your own fan base. Like, everyone's going to hate that. It doesn't make any sense. And, look, you want to, like, show the Astros up? You already did.
Yeah.
You won 2 out of 3 at
6-1
home.
on the season.
Right. Like, that's showing them up. Like, say what you want about, like, plunking guys and hitting guys and, like, whatever, but to show another team up is to beat them. And the first 2 games, you beat them, and it wasn't close.
Yeah. And just did you have anything else on the series? Michael Kay, one of the things he mentioned is he talked about where he came up with the Sia call. So
I missed that.
I think it was the first game. I could be wrong. It was either the first or second game of that series. So he said that one of his ex-girlfriends from when he was in, like, his 20s, when he would, like, drop her off at her house, she would always say, "See ya, where do I want to be ya?" And then he brought that to
The broadcast booth. That's pretty funny.
I just thought that was the most random thing, and I just wanted to, like, touch on it.
That's so weird.
Right? Like, you never would have thought that's where that came from.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, there's a story and everything. But that is certainly not what I expected.
Yeah, no, I thought I misheard it at first. Like, I rewinded
Right.
it to make sure I heard it right, and, like, lo and
Yeah.
behold. But then going on to the Rays series, so Game 1, 2-0 Yankees win. Clark Schmidt, they finally let him pitch in the 7th inning, 6 2/3, 5 hits, 0 earned runs, 2 walks, 6 Ks. I can't remember what my feeling was in the moment, but I think I wanted them to leave him in.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember. I think it was because the hitter coming up, like, had some, like, really good contact against him. But yeah, where was I? Clay almost gave us another heart attack. He had 1 innings pitched, but he also had a hit and 2 walks in that inning and 3 strikeouts. So it was like,
He was possessed by the ghost of David Robertson for that inning.
that was the David Robertson Houdini act. And then Rizzo, I just want to touch on him. He had both of the runs. He was responsible. He had an RBI early in the game, then he had a solo shot later in the game, or it could have been flipped. I don't remember.
No, yeah, it was a solo shot in the ninth.
Solo shot on the ninth.
Then I think it was like an RBI single earlier.
Yeah. And then moving on to game 2, 7-2 Rays victory. Nestor was not good. He 5 1/3, 4 earned runs, 8 base runners, not good. Dennis Santana had his one bad outing of the year. 1 inning pitch, 3 earned runs. They accounted for all the runs. But of course, in the game they get absolutely blown out. Anthony Volpe goes 3 for 4 and is responsible for both RBIs. I'll touch on him later too. I have a whole segment on this Yankees offense. And then game 3, I think out of this entire week, this is the game that stood out to me the most. And not even because of recency bias, but just how it went. So, Luis Heel did Luis Heel things again. He went 6 innings, 3 hits, no runs, 2 walks, only 3 strikeouts, which I don't care. Like, I want him to strike a lot of guys out, but if you're having only 5 base runners, only 2 of them being off walks, that's, like, you know what? I was going to save it for later. I'll get into it now. Over the last 2 starts, just his numbers together, 12 innings pitched, 4 hits, 6 walks, 1 run, 8 strikeouts. His walks were, like, really high. Like, at one point, he had a 9 walk per 9. He had a 4.5 this week. A lot lower, pretty good.
Right. Yeah.
And just, I don't care if it's how many guys he's striking out. As much as, like, we say, like, oh, either do one or the other, he was more of a contact pitcher, and that worked for him.
Right.
And just, I was thinking of the way to do this now, because I really do want to temper my expectations on him. Because first year after Tommy John, really only his, like, second time, like, really, this is his 3rd time in the bigs, but the other 2 times were, like, I think he had, like, 50 career innings, if that, before this.
Right, yeah. Like, spot starts. And
Yeah. So he never really had a chance, but he is, I'm going to say right now, he is an absolutely electric thrower, but I wouldn't call him a pitcher yet because he hasn't earned it over length. I think he's been pitching very well, and he's been a solid pitcher, but he has to do it for longer for me to kind of really, I think it's so hard because you have to temper your expectations, but it's also at the same time, like,
how can you when you look at his stats?
His years,
his underlying numbers are great. Like, yeah. It's definitely tough because, like you said, you don't want to, like, proclaim he's the next guy, but at the same time, it's like everything you look at is extremely encouraging.
2.51 ERA on the year, and just
right,
a 1.09 WHIP for a guy that, like,
yeah,
had walks issues. That's very good. That's very good.
Which also tells you that a lot of the base runners are just coming from walks. Like, he doesn't get hit around a lot, which is, I would say, a little better, because you do have guys like Dylan Cease, Blake Snell, who walk a lot of guys, but then they strike out a lot of guys, so it kind of just evens out there. So if he's not getting hit around, if he's kind of just walking a little too much, I think that, to me, walks is more fixable than getting hit around.
Yeah.
So in a way, from a young pitcher standpoint, I would rather them be walking too much than getting hit around.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what Luis Hill is going through right now. And like you said, he's been doing better with the walks the past week. So the potential is just phenomenal. Mm-hmm. But again, it is good to temper expectations.
Yeah. And a guy that I just want to mention, Matt Blake deserves all the credit in the world. So looking at Heel's numbers, he already has more innings this year than the other 2 years in his career combined. He had 33 innings in the other 2 years combined. This is really his first year working with Matt Blake. You know what I mean? So you're doing that. Yeah. Matt Blake, I feel like Matt Blake may be one of those guys that in 10 years he becomes a manager and it's the worst thing he could do.
Mm-hmm.
Just because he is so, like, absolutely insane as a pitching coach, I think the worst thing that he could do is go for a higher paying job.
Yeah.
At least from an organizational standpoint, like, I think that would be a mistake.
Yeah. it's funny because it's kind of like you think about it like football coaches. Like if a defensive coordinator becomes a head coach, then usually it's not like a great sign.
Usually not a good thing.
But I do want this kind of low sidetrack, but I do
Mm.
wonder if there have been like pitching coaches who become managers or hitting coaches who become managers and how they kind of shape up. I think it's a little more quantifiable in football, and
Mm.
baseball is a little more like depends on who you're talking to. But that would be something I'd be interested to
Yeah.
look into. But going back to Matt Blake, I think you're right on that part. Like he's just such a good pitching coach.
Yeah.
Like he's so good at what he does that why would you want to add more to that
Yeah.
as a manager? So,
Because I think he'd be a
but
pretty
yeah,
good
go ahead.
manager. Like I don't think you do anything wrong necessarily. It's just that the value you're losing from him only working with the pitching staff. That I
Right.
think is the big thing.
Definitely.
And then kind of just wrapping off the rest of that game. So the Yankees scored 6 runs through the first 5 innings. 7th inning, Luis Heel just absolutely shoved. In comes Caleb Ferguson. Caleb Ferguson proceeds to let up 4 earned runs in the 7th inning, and then Nick Birdie another. Then the Yankees, thank God their offense did something. They had a 4-run 8th inning. I'm pretty sure Gleyber Torres had a 3-run home run. And just, that was very impressive. Just, you were kind of, it's Mother's Day. It's a getaway game. They didn't have their A lineup because I want to say Rizzo and Verdugo were both sitting because of the lefty. So you didn't have your A lineup. You're up 6 runs going into the 7th inning. You could kind of take a step back, kind of chill. But then the 5 runs come up. They're like, okay, we got to do it. Then immediately respond by dropping 4 runs. That was very impressive.
Yeah, definitely. Especially to have Glaber a part of that, like little barrage, I think that's huge.
Being like the main part of it, because
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he scored the first 3 runs. I think it was the
Right.
first 3.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds right.
And also just winning 2-1 in the Trop is insane. Like that place, I hate that place. I hate it. Blow it up.
Mhm.
But just winning 2 out of 3, and as much as I talked well about the offense, I do want to say it's still very inconsistent.
Mhm.
You look at the 5 games or 6 games of the last week. 10 runs, 9 runs, 3 runs, 2 runs, 2 runs, 10 runs.
Right.
Like that averages out really good. It's just, huh?
As a fan, it's extremely
It's so
frustrating.
annoying.
Yeah. But from a team perspective, I think you're pretty happy with that.
Yeah.
Obviously a win's a win, but yeah. It's weird because it seems like the Yankees are consistently inconsistent, which makes them a good team
Yeah.
almost because you can score 10 runs in a day, but at the same time, you can score 3 the next day and still get by because you have a good pitching staff.
Yeah. I think the pitching staff is second, and will be in ERA.
Right.
But I completely forgot to mention this. I am now on the fuck Ben Rortvedt train. He did something so unforgivable. Do you know what he did?
I don't think so.
So I was
I think I
watching the
missed
game,
this.
and he had his walk-up
Okay.
song, and I was listening to
Okay.
it. Like, no,
Uh-huh.
that's unforgivable. I want you to guess what he did.
It was something about New York.
No. He copied Rizzo's walk-up song.
Oh, did he really?
That bastard. Unforgivable.
That bastard.
Dead to me. Dead to me.
Shame.
You know, I
Shame.
really don't care. I heard
Shame.
that. I'm like, wait, did he copy Rizzo's
Shame.
walk-up song?
It's pretty funny.
Yeah. But then, now time for my fun time with the offense. So just looking at a lot of the guys that had the last week, I'll start with one that was pretty funny. Juan Soto had hit 304, a 370 on base, 435 slugging. His WRC plus went down. He had a 170 WRC plus on the season. He had a 133 the last week, and he hit 304 with a 370 on base.
Washed.
Like that's just.
He's slumping.
I think I didn't notice this. Like from watch because I didn't watch every at bat. He had a 3.7 strikeout percentage. He struck out once over the last week.
Right.
I
It's
just
insane.
that's silly. He
Like,
is
those
silly.
memes, like, it's like, if player A did this, and then player B would go down, like, whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what I saw it, like, the other day. I
With
forgot
like
what
Barry
it was.
Bonds, if you turned all of his
Yeah.
walks into like all of his intentional walks or something into strikeouts, he'd still have like a higher on base than like Frank Thomas or something. Or, like
Right,
some like
yeah.
really good hitter.
Right.
And his on base would
But,
still be like 380 or something. It's
yeah.
just like
It's just a testament to how good Juan Soto is.
yeah. And I didn't notice. Like I know like I was like he led the league in walks like a couple times. He led the league in walks the last 3 years.
Right.
So like and the only guy in baseball that has more walks than him right now is Aaron Judge.
Shocker.
Yeah. So yeah, I thought that was really funny that he still had a pretty damn good week, but his numbers went down.
Or it went down.
Like that's just silly.
Insane.
But then
It is.
going on to the aforementioned Aaron Judge. So Judge went 7 for okay, of course it's being dumb. It wants to be dumb now. Walks. Okay, why does it not want to show me walks? Okay, it's stupid. Whatever. Aaron Judge had a 333 batting average, 481 on base, and 857 slugging. And you want to hear the funny part? His expected weighted on base was 549. His expected weighted on base was 70 points higher.
That's insane.
He had a 265 WRC plus last week. He had 3 home runs, 7 RBIs, an 18.5 walk percentage, 11.4 or 11.1 K percentage. I want you to guess his average exit velocity.
101.2.
What the fuck?
Did I get that on the nose?
101.5. I hate you. I hate you. I don't know what it is
I'm
with
so
you
good
and
at it.
guessing. I hate
I know.
you. But just
That's
silly.
just insane.
He had 2
Yeah.
doubles, so he had 5 extra base hits. Just absolutely silly.
Yeah, and just looking at his Savant page now, it was red before when he was struggling. It's even redder now. He is currently 100th percentile in average exit velocity.
Yeah.
96.2.
100 percentile walk percentage, I'm sure.
No, funny enough, I think that's DJ Stewart.
What is he then?
Yeah, DJ Stewart's 100. I think, Judge? 97.
97? Okay. I think it's just
DJ
'cause
Stewart. This is a DJ Stewart narrative push
Yeah.
that he has the highest walk rate in baseball right now.
I think Judge has
Just
just played every game. That's why. It's probably just a
Yeah.
plate appearance thing. But
Oh, 100%.
yeah, that's because even before this week when Judge was struggling, he had about the same amount of home runs as Soto, same amount of RBIs, same amount of walks. Like obviously, like they don't tell the whole story, but for a guy like Judge, RBIs very important. Like
Yeah.
like you're not gonna knock like Volpe, he's not gonna be an RBI guy because he's
Right.
lead off. They're not gonna be guys on. But a guy like Judge, Stan, those guys, you need them to have high RBI numbers.
For sure. Yeah.
And then, because I just mentioned Stanton, he also had a very good week. He had 2 home runs, had a 136 WRC plus. Just wanted to mention it because even then, his on base was 286, 360 weighted on base, or expected weighted on base. So he had a pretty good week. If
Yeah.
you can just have him as your 5 hitter, that's absurd.
Yeah.
And then the last guy I wanted to talk about individually, Anthony Volpe. He had a hell of a week. He had 2 home runs, a triple, a 333 batting average, 379 on base, 630 slugging, 433 expected weighted on base for a 186 WRC plus.
Good
If
week.
he is back, that is, you have
That's
all
huge.
3. Your top 6 hitters are all firing on all cylinders, and then you also have guys like Austin Wells, who's been hitting really well. I forgot to look at his numbers. You have guys like Glaber, maybe he's starting to pick it up again.
Right. Trevino had a 2 home run game.
Yeah, I completely
past
forgot to talk
weekend.
about that. He had a
Yeah.
2 home run game, and just
Oh.
Before this week happened, there was something interesting that I thought of that say Volpe was still struggling. Would John Birdie be a decent option for leadoff?
I mean, in theory, I want to say yes just because of speed.
Mm.
But
I was just gonna say.
is he back? Wait, first of all, is he back? I
Oh
forget.
yeah,
I,
he played. He
okay,
played last week.
he okay.
He had a 181 WRC plus last week
Holy crap! All right,
in 3
I did
games.
not know
but
that. Yeah, but I think like in a getaway day or get a day where you want to give someone the guy off, that's not a crazy idea. Because if he gets on base, you have a really good shot of a stolen base,
Yeah.
and then obviously that sets up Soto, Judge, Stan, everyone else.
The reason
So
I
that's not
mentioned
crazy.
the reason I mentioned it is because last week Boone made a comment that when Volpe first got moved to lead off, he struggled a little bit, and they asked him like, "Is Anthony Volpe like if you continue to struggle, we move him out?" And he said, "No, Anthony Volpe's a leadoff hitter." And then like a couple weeks after that, Boone pretty much said like it's his job until someone else can do it.
Right.
So say he didn't have that week, and then Birdie was playing well. Oh wait, no, I'm dumb. I was looking at Austin Wells.
So you meant Austin Wells this whole time?
No, had the 181 WRC plus.
Oh, what did John Birdie have?
He was solid. Yeah, I think he was pretty serviceable. I'll look it up right
Okay.
now. But that's because I was gonna make a point on Austin Wells too, and I just completely forgot. But then
Yeah.
if you go to John Birdie, game log, go for the last. Where are you? Last week, 70. But just something that I saw that was very intriguing to say the least. That like if he were
No,
to hit,
definitely.
who knows?
Yeah, if John Birdie hits and he can get on base, he doesn't need to hit extra bases. If he literally just be a singles machine,
His singles are
that
doubles.
would be right. Yeah, that'd be a perfect leadoff hitter.
Yeah. And did you have anything more on the offense?
No, I think I just overall a great week. I personally, well, not even, but overall very happy for Volpe's big week. Obviously it took him a while to probably be comfortable back at that leadoff position, but it seems like he's settling in well. He's 100% your leadoff hitter of the future. I don't think there's a doubt about that. So to see him get going is just really big.
Yeah. And speaking of future, I'm not going to talk long about this. I'm just going to say one thing. Give Wells more playing time. Like, I know Trevino's playing really well, but Wells is your catcher of the future. He should get more playing time, especially dealing with more veteran pitchers. But I just want to say that we'll probably talk about that another time, but because they kind of did like a 50-50. One played 3, the other played 3.
Mm-hmm.
But moving on to the bullpen, I just wanted to say Caleb Ferguson annoys the living shit out of me. He has a 6.43 ERA in 14 innings. He has a left on base of 53%, meaning half the runners that get on base are scoring. I will say, his FIP is 5.42 and his expected FIP is 4.25, so they are better. But he just does not inspire any confidence whatsoever when he's out there. Just even the ground ball rate, the whole shtick of him was that he has a very elite ground ball rate. He has a 40 ground ball rate.
Yeah.
He has an 18% home run to fly ball rate, which is the third highest, or the second highest in the Yankees bullpen. The only one that has a higher one is Cody Petit, who played one game. So he's the highest one of any of the bullpen arms by a good bit. The second most is, oh my God, no one even has a double-digit one other than him in the bullpen. Luke Weaver has the second highest one at 6.5. He has a 3 times higher home run to fly ball rate.
Jesus.
I think that that's fixable if he just gets the ball on the ground. I think a lot of the problems get solved.
Yeah.
But right now, if he's not getting the ball on the ground, he is almost unusable in any sort of leverage situation.
It's been a very, very tough watch.
Yeah.
I was
very high on Ferguson when they traded for him.
Yeah.
I really like him.
Yeah, I thought it was a good trade as well, but there's a lot of his underlying stuff does not impose a lot of confidence. Like, almost everything is down. His chase percentage is up. Cool. but literally everything else is down.
Yeah.
And that's just, he's getting bailed up. He's walking too many guys. He's not getting the ground balls. Like, yeah, there's not a lot that inspires any confidence. So,
I think it really just
yikes.
comes down to if he get the ball on the ground more.
Hmm.
That like if he get the ball on the
Definitely.
ground more and be what he was in LA, I think that's a lot better. He just got to do it. Like that's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. We're not pitching coaches. We can't tell him what he's
Yeah.
doing wrong. But
And then Victor Gonzalez is kind of the opposite of Caleb Ferguson. He has a 2.84 ERA, really good, but he has a 6.45 FIP, a 5.96 expected FIP. He has a very high left on base percentage at 82, so that is like pretty good. But it's just
yeah.
I don't have confidence when he pitches. It feels
Yeah.
like I don't want to say he gets bailed, but you know what? Like there's those guys you could pace around the living room with, and then there's those guys you can lean back in your chair with. He is a
Yeah.
pace around the living room guy.
Yeah.
So
You just never know what's going to happen.
yeah.
He keeps you on your toes.
Then
But
the
worse.
very last guy I want to talk about is Luke Weaver. This man is my father. I love him. In
Nasty.
26 innings pitched, he has a 2.42 ERA, 2.87 FIP. He has a left on base of 74, so still pretty good. Where is it? He has a 4% walk percentage. While still striking guys out at a pretty solid rate of 27.3, which is, I think, the second highest in the Yankees bullpen to Clay Holmes, who I take my L's on. Clay Holmes is back. He is him. Just, I don't want to get too much into the numbers, but 71% ground ball percentage, 85% left on base, hasn't let up a run this year, a 1.58 FIP, 1.99 expected FIP.
Yeah.
And just,
It's pretty good. Pretty
Yeah.
good for a closer.
yeah. And did you have anything else on the bullpen?
No, I just want to touch on Luke Weaver just
Okay.
for a second more. I mean, you got this guy off of waivers, right? Or was it
Pretty
this
sure they got him
trade?
for nothing.
Yeah. And he could be this year's Ian Hamilton. I mean, a lot of the underlying stuff loves him.
Mhm.
He gets guys to chase, like you said. He doesn't walk. He strikes out guys. He doesn't above average in barrel rate, but like this is some really good stuff. And the Yankees bullpen as a whole has just been extremely impressive. And then to have this guy also be another weapon for that back end of the bullpen is huge. But
This was like a
that's it.
week and a half ago where I was watching the post game or just like had it on the background and I saw him. I'm like, this dude just looks like a normal dude. Like
Yeah. That's a guy that just goes to the University of New Haven.
and he's
I
very
have class with him.
He's very soft spoken like this too. He's like, yeah, I really appreciate the question, and just
Yeah, thanks.
it
I
just
think I had a good game.
yeah,
It was a
just
good game, yeah.
then going on to the rotation. I really don't want to say it, but I have to say it. No one has missed their turn in the rotation this year. I don't think people are going to realize how impressive that is by just hearing that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know for sure, but I'd put good money that no other team in baseball has done this.
Yeah, I
And
think that
if other teams have, it can't be more than 3.
yeah. And it's just like it's not even like, oh, people are like staying healthy, they're not on the IL, yada yada yada, but it's also like, oh, you're like, oh, you know what? This guy didn't recover well. We're gonna push him back a day.
Yeah.
It's like none of that. Like that's huge, especially with how ravaged the sport has been with pitcher injuries. That's been huge.
And even then, it's not like the performance has been bad. The only time, I'll just say this, the only time a guy not in the 5-man rotation started was Cody Petit, but that was because of a doubleheader. So that's
Right.
kind of just like, that's not because
Yeah.
of injury or whatever, not because of health. The highest ERA on the staff is a 4.02 for starters. And even then, that's Nestor, and that's because he has the most innings by 10 innings pitched. Then other than that, you have Rodon with a 3.56, you have Stroman with a 3.8, you have Clark Schmidt with a 2.95, then Heel with a 2.5. And that's without having the reigning Cy Young, who's a future Hall of Famer.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
To have like your weak link a near basically 4 ERA.
A 4 ERA is your worst
That's-
starter. And that was your opening day starter, too.
Right. That's extremely solid.
That is incredible.
Yeah.
Like, if Adrian Hauser had a 4 ERA, you would be jumping for joy right now.
I would be ecstatic.
Isn't that what
That's
you said you, like, kind of saw him as? Like a 4
Yes,
ERA pitcher?
like
innings
a
eater?
4.2 even, like,
Yeah.
that would have been fine because he would be your 5th starter.
Yeah.
Nestor Cortez, 5th starter, 4 ERA. Perfect. That's literally all you're asking for.
Yeah.
Like, that's amazing.
Yeah. I would say Nestor, I want it to be a little lower, but I
Right,
really
of course.
can't complain with how everyone else has done. Like, if
Yeah.
everyone else was pitching bad and you needed him to be an ace, that's a different story.
Definitely.
But, yeah. And then going on to their next series, so the Yankees have a travel day on today, Monday. You guys are going to listen Tuesday, so it doesn't matter for you guys. Carlos Rodon is going to be up against Chris Paddock for their 3-game set in Minnesota.
Minnesota.
Marcus Stroman against Pablo Lopez. Then to wrap it off, Clark Schmidt versus Joe Ryan. Paddock has a 4.35 ERA on the year. I saw his first ever Major League win in person. Stroman versus Lopez and Schmidt versus Ryan are going to be tough ones. I definitely say they're their 2 best starters.
I mean, I think last time I checked, at least Paddock has been on a tear. Like,
Yeah.
he's been
Well, the
really
Twins have
good.
been on a tear in general.
That is also true. Let me hold. Oh, no. Nope, okay. Regardless,
Yeah.
the Twins have really, really solid pitching.
Mm.
And, yeah, I would definitely say Lopez and Ryan are the best 2. So, yeah, I think their offense have been a little iffy,
Yeah.
if I'm not mistaken. They kind of broke out over the weekend. I think they were playing the Blue Jays.
Mm.
But, yeah, I think getting to, as most games, and I feel like I say this every week, getting to the starters is going to be, like,
Oh, yeah.
the big thing. Just not letting them get comfortable, not letting them get, on a groove. Just getting them out early is going to be huge. Because the back end of the Twins bullpen between Griffin Jackson, Johan Duran, I think Brock Stewart might be hurt. I don't know. But they're like 7, 8, 9 inning guys are extremely solid. So not letting the game get to the point where you have to face them would be huge.
Definitely. I don't got much more to say. Just Wednesday's game's on Prime. Just make sure to know that. Yeah, so if you want to take it to Queens.
Yeah, so with that being said, head on to Queens.
Now entering Queens.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Queens, where the Mets had another uneasy week, as I'd call it. Played 2 games against the Cardinals. 3rd game got rained out. 3 against the Braves at home. So they played a total of 5 games. And they went, if I can do math, 3-2. Which is solid, but the Braves series was a little
They
tough
would have gone
one.
500 if they could have, but they couldn't.
Yeah, exactly. But they couldn't. But we'll get into that. Obviously, first and foremost, your injury report brought to you by the Triboro MD. And this is one of the more complex injury reports that we've had to do here. So the big 2 are Brooks Raley and Kodai Senga. Brooks Raley, his season seems to be at stake.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. So he initially went on the injured list. I think it was elbow inflammation or something like that. He was throwing. He was fine. Then he kind of got a little setback, needed more imaging. And then a story earlier this week by Jules Sherman reported that he has at least a fraying ligament in the elbow. So not a full tear. I don't even think it's a partial tear, but it's kind of like a little, like you rip a piece of the
Dangling?
paper off, but it's still
Still
kind of dangling
dangling.
there.
Then how's that
So
not a tear?
I have no idea. That's how they described it. I assumed that would just be a tear, because
If
it's
it's hanging
tear.
off, that means it's not fully
It tore.
attached. So it's. I'm
Maybe because
not a
it's not like a
doctor.
clean thing. Yeah, whatever. So he had, at least it's a fraying ligament in the elbow. An eternal brace or Tommy John is a possibility, but I think he's getting more tests done this week. But it's not looking good for Rayleigh, unfortunately. I would not be shocked if he needed Tommy John, but the fact that it's a fraying ligament, I think, is a little better than a full tear, because maybe they could it's just a repair and not like a whole, a whole procedure type thing. So it's not looking good for Rayleigh. It seems super complex.
From what I'm reading, it seems that it is a partial tear.
Right.
It's just
That's
like.
it's weird. It's so weird. Because even Rayleigh himself, he's like, I have no idea like how to describe it.
This is from orthoinfo.org. In many cases, torn tendons begin by fraying. As the damage progresses, the tendon can completely tear. Sometimes with lifting a heavy object, there are different types of tears. Partial tear. This type of tear does not completely detach the tendon from the bone.
Right. So I would say that's better than a full tear.
Oh, definitely a full tear. But
You know what I
a
mean? Yeah.
partial, I don't
So
understand the difference, but I'm not a
yeah,
doctor, so.
maybe if he needs some form of procedure, it's not like a full year recovery. Maybe it's like a 6 month recovery, and he'll be back, in like April of next year or whatever. But yeah, so he's gonna get more testing this week. It'll be really interesting to see what is decided, but doesn't look good for
And
Rayleigh, which is really
something
unfortunate.
also I found from cedarsinai.org, tendon injuries, like frayed injuries, cannot heal themselves.
Okay. Yeah.
So
So
if it's either a Tanaka situation where you get pitched with it, or he has to get surgery.
right. Yeah. And at this moment, surgery seems more likely than not. And then moving on to another complex situation with Kodai Senga. So to preface this, everybody is not calling this a setback. Mets officials aren't calling it a setback. Kodai Senga spoke with the media a few minutes ago, actually. He's not really calling it a setback. But he's not going to face... He was facing live hitters. He will not be facing live hitters for at least the next week because he wants to work on his mechanics.
Okay.
It's not that
It's a
he
pushback.
re-injured it. Even then, that they don't even want to say that. Like, it's a pushback in the sense of he's probably not going to be ready by the end of May. But from an injury standpoint, it's not. It's really weird. I'm not sure how to feel about it because everything they say is it's about mechanics. He just wants to get the mechanics right. He's very methodical. Carlos Mendoza was saying how like Senga is extremely like into his craft and like he's very methodical about how he pitches and how his mechanics feel, and he's not really happy with where they're at the moment, which is
It's good that they're
bizarre.
delaying it. I like that they're delaying it though, because if he comes back with improper mechanics, that's how he re-injures it.
Right, and that was something I was just gonna say. He spoke a little bit earlier today, and he mentioned how he thinks a part of the injury happened because due to his mechanics. Maybe he just wasn't like completely right. Something was, pitching is such a fine art that one thing is off can ruin your
It leads
entire
to another,
motion.
which leads to another, which leads to another.
Right, which overcompensation by something
If
else.
you
But
overclip your toenail on one of your feet, that can lead to you getting a serious injury. Because
right,
if you're
like
not landing on it right, it may not feel right. You may not feel confident to land on it. Then you have to overstress something else. So it's literally any little injury can cause a massive injury. So it may sound like dumb, like, oh, mechanics and like not that big of it, or like a slight tweak, like literally having his arm a couple centimeters a different way in the throwing angle. That's a huge difference.
definitely, but it's very odd. No one seems too concerned. It's kind of just like he just wants to get his mechanics right. It's not really because of anything hurting or anything re-injured, but we'll see. He's still going to be throwing bullpens, so that's good. But yeah, no live hitting for a week, and Mendoza last left it as it could be a thing of, he throws a bullpen today. He's like, you know what? I feel good. Let's get it rolling.
Yeah.
So we'll see. It'll be interesting to see, but Senga, don't expect Senga back by the end of May. He's probably going to be very similar to Cole around like mid-June, around there. But going off of that, that's all I had for the injury report. Going to the Cardinal series where the Mets swept. They won first 2 games. Third game got rained out. The scheduling was so weird because of the rain out. They're now playing on a mutual off day in August, but the Mets are flying from LA. They now have to fly to St. Louis to play the last game, and then from St. Louis they have to fly to Colorado, which isn't horrible. But
Yeah, it could have been so much worse.
Right, but it's from going to here to then go back here. But very odd, but it is what it is. That's what happens when when MLB wants to play every single team against every other team. But
and no
that's just a byproduct. Yeah, that's just a byproduct of the new schedule. But regardless, it was a solid series overall. Pitching was good. The offense decided to show up. Shamania went 6 innings, 3 earned runs, 1 walk, and 1 strikeout. He really, I don't want to say strayed away from the strikeouts, but he didn't seem like he was going for strikeouts. He induced a ton of soft contact this start. So it'll be interesting to see if he's going more for the soft contact ground ball approach rather than trying to strike everyone out. Then Jose Buto pitched game 2. He went 5 innings, 3 earned runs, all in the first inning. Did not allow a run after that, and then walked 3, struck out 3. So solid pitching overall. Pete Alonso had a okay series, better than it's been. He got a day off, a first game. First game he did not start, and DJ Stewart made his debut at first base. But that first game they won 4-3. Brandon Nimmo had a huge go-ahead home run late in the game. And then second game, Alonso had a much better game. He went 2 for 5, hit a home run, a double with 3 RBI. So solid series overall. Not too much to talk about there. Like I mentioned, last game got rained out. So moving on to the Braves series, which they played this past weekend. This was a bad series that ended on a good note. So it is an okay series. So game 1, Jose Quintana, 5 innings, 4 earned runs, 4 home runs, all in 1 inning. All the home runs and all the runs came on 1 inning, and all the home runs were on some form of fastball. I mentioned it last week when his start in Tampa Bay, where his fastball just got completely crushed by every hitter. Same thing with this start. His fastball is not tricking anybody, and is also not. He's not doing himself any
favors.
Favors. That's the word I was looking for. Thank you. He's leaving a lot of it over the middle of the plate, so it's a 4-seam, a 90-mile-an-hour 4-seam down the middle, a 91-mile-an-hour sinker down the middle. Not really fooling anyone. So another bad start from Quintana there. The offense really didn't get much going until the end of the game. They went 1 for 4 with runners in scoring position, but a lot of that came in the 9th inning. JD Martinez almost had his moment as a Met, but he pulled the ball a little too much and it was on the wrong side of the foul pole for a foul ball. Just the offense got nothing going. I mean, Charlie Morton went 7 innings, only allowed 3 hits.
No.
Like, you're not going to do anything when you're getting 3 hits against the starter. Does
Charlie Morton usually pitch well against the Mets?
It's day and night. Like,
okay.
He'll have he'll have
He'll
a
have
really good
this, and then
start.
he'll go 3 innings.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, he'll go 3 innings, 5 runs, whatever. So
Okay.
it's very Jekyll and Hyde with Morton. But game 2, Christian Scott was the only highlight of this game. Against a very good Braves lineup,
One of the
he went
top 3 in baseball.
exactly. He went 6 innings, 6 hits, 3 earned runs, 2 walks, 8 strikeouts. And I should say 6+ innings. He started the 7th inning, which was questionable. I didn't really like that move. And then he let the first 2 base runners reach base, and then that's when Mendoza pulled him.
Did those runners
But
score?
they did not.
Okay.
Yeah, so all 3 earned runs were on him. But no, against one of the better lineups in the league, Christian Scott held his own, and he continues to impress.
Correct?
Second start, yeah.
Second career start. You're not in Atlanta. You're seeing
No, they were at home.
At home. You're not.
So first City Field start.
Okay.
That's still something.
Regardless, yeah. It's still a high pressure. It's not a low pressure situation by any means.
For sure.
So,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Super impressed by that. And what's even more impressive is the Braves 1 through 5 hitters. So that's Acuna, Albies, Riley, Olsen, and Ozuna. Went 2 for 20.
Who? Who was the last one?
Ozuna.
From?
The Braves.
Ozuna from the Braves.
Ozuna from the Braves. They went 2 for. I might have got the at bats wrong. There's probably like 2 for. Regardless, 2 hits, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts.
He literally saved all his juice for the 1 through 5.
Yeah, like he only really got tagged by Orlando Arcia. He hit a home run, and then Michael Harris had an RBI single, which is the bot. I mean,
Michael Harris,
the Braves
Orlando Arcia just sounds so like.
In
that lineup, if you're gonna get beat by anyone, for it to be Orlando Arcia, like not calling him a
right.
bad player, but when you literally have how many MVP candidates?
Yeah, exactly. That's the guy that beats you.
Yeah.
But it's super impressive just to keep that top of the lineup, just a non-factor for your start. But yeah, the Braves lineup is incredibly deep. But like I said, just to keep those top 5 hitters basically like blank was pretty impressive.
Definitely.
But on the other side of the ball, the Mets were getting no hit into the 9th inning. Just gonna.
And I'm not
now that the silence has passed.
I'm not sure if you're
ahead.
being a masochist about this, but we have different opinions on if we wanted the Mets to get no hit or not.
I was like, call me what you want. I was saying I wish they got no hit just because they can get their head out of their ass, maybe. Just kind of like it's a wake-up call, like one of those things. Like maybe you can get the team. It's really hard because like, oh, you got no hit and you expect them to turn around. But it could be one of those things where like you get no hit. It's like, all right, something needs to change. Like we need to really get going. So just something like that is just. I was kind of hoping they got no hit just for that aspect, but they did not. Thanks to JD Martinez's first home run as a Met was I think the 1 of 2 hits in the inning. They somehow got I think it was a tying run up to bat in that 9th inning. So once again, they too little, too late. They tried to kind of push I don't know where I was going with that. Either way, it's just too little, too late with this Mets offense, which has been the story in a lot of games that they lost. They try to make a late comeback, but it's just like in the 8th inning and the 9th inning where they can't really get anything going. So it's just super, super frustrating. And they had a lot of hard hit balls, but they just found a glove. So the process was there, but still, it's just extremely frustrating when the offense has been completely inconsistent, and then I think it was 1 out away or 1 or 2 outs away from being no hit.
Yeah.
Like it's super frustrating.
I will say this though about JD Martinez, him hitting that home run could have very similar effects to them getting no hit. in the sense of it's that
That's fair.
veteran guy that you brought in to be your cleanup hitter. Watching how he goes about his business, that he easily could have just been like, yeah, I got my money, really don't care about this at bat. I'm just gonna get out, get home early, and doing that. It sounds silly that like, oh, he actually like took his at bat
Right.
seriously, but in
Yeah.
that spot, how many guys kind of just like lollygag it, kind of.
Right, they might just roll over and kind of like,
Yeah.
a little defeated.
Yeah,
But,
like that's a
that's
great
fair.
message for the young guys that like it doesn't matter when it is, when the position, you should take every at bat seriously, and no game is ever out of hand because like you said, the Mets had the tying run at the plate.
Right.
So I think
Yeah,
it could
so
have
that's fair.
very similar effects, and I'm also just happy that it wasn't a no hitter because we don't have to deal with the discourse on if it
A
matters or not.
combined no-hitter.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
But yeah.
But, yeah, so that was game 2. Very, very frustrating. But game 3 was a nice change of pace where Luis Severino had the start. He went 5 innings, 2 earned runs, 4 strikeouts. He kind of just labored through. He had like 95 pitches through those 5 innings. Just a lot of just full counts. Not a lot of walks, but just, just couldn't really find the strike zone. But the big story of this game was, actually the offense. They only scored 4 runs, but they had a solid offensive game overall. Pete and Lindor had good games, which is very encouraging. They went a combined 4 for 8, 2 doubles, 2 RBI, and a run scored. Alonso had both of those RBIs. And then Brandon Nimmo, who did not start this game due to kind of like tweaking his side on Saturday's game, came in as a pinch runner late in the game. And his first at-bat in the game was with the tying run on base. The tying run on base. So he was the go-ahead run at-bat. Cranked a 2-run walk-off home run. First at-bat. Wow. I'm just extremely impressed because I wasn't sure how that at-bat was going to go because he tweaked his sides. Like, is he even going to be allowed to swing?
Well, he made a great play in the field before that, though, no?
No. I don't think so, at least.
I could have swore...
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
He ran... He, like, kind of... Not ran into the wall, but, like... He made
Full
a
extension.
good play, like, at the wall. Yeah. You're right.
'cause
I completely forgot about
I turned
that.
the game on. I just see Brandon Nimmo make an incredible play. Next at bat, I think it was Ozuna, gave the Braves the lead, turned the game off.
Yes.
I'm jinxing it. Got to turn it off.
Yeah. But, yeah, I completely forgot about that play. But
So was he a pinch runner or defensive replacement?
He was a pinch runner because
Okay.
DJ Stewart got on. He then ran for DJ Stewart, and then he played the field right after.
Gotcha, okay.
But, yeah, Nimmo came in late, had a walk-off 2-run home run. Just
saved the game,
huge.
then won the game.
Yeah, basically. Like, I was huge from Nimmo just from, a team morale perspective that, it's kind of very similar to the Lindor flu game where he didn't start and he ended up playing hero. It's just huge for confidence and just hopefully this is something that can get this offense going because you look up and down the lineup and this offense can be a very solid offense if everyone's clicking right and all that.
I think you just need to have a starter not play every game. Like every game, just one of your starters should just not play because every time they don't play and then you pinch hit them, they just walk the game off.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think you just have to, like, every day when your starters gets benched, be like, look, you'll be put in, like, the 7th, 8th inning, but just trust the process.
Yeah, trust the process. There's a method to the madness here.
Yeah, somehow.
But, yeah, so they ended up losing the series, but it was ended on a good note with Nimmo's walk-off home run because Brandon Nimmo loves moms on Mother's Day. But, yeah, hopefully it's just something that just sparks the offense. Like you said, with JD Martinez kind of like, not giving up till the last out. He hit his first home run. Hopefully he can get going. Alonso and Lindor have looked better at the plate. It's... I
just want to say something real quick on the Nimmo play. I found the numbers. That ball was hit 103 miles an hour by Matt Olson at a 730 expected batting average. It would have been a home run at Minute Maid.
Damn. Yeah.
So just to put
So
in
that was a
perspective
big
how
play. Yeah.
good of a play it was.
Yeah. That was a huge play. But yeah, so that's really all I got for the games themselves. If you had anything to add.
Um, not really. Obviously, you would have rather won more games against the Braves than the Cardinals, but beggars can't be
Of course.
choosers.
Yeah.
A lot of sparks that you just got to kind of hope make fires with like
Yeah.
JD, Nemo, Christian
Yeah.
Scott. You just
Yeah, definitely.
they could put it all together. It's just a thing of if they will.
Yeah, definitely. And that's been a big question for a few years now. It's kind of like it's put the core of this team in question, that a lot of the guys never click at the same time, or a lot of the guys just never really get going until maybe it's a little too late. So it's put the core of, Lindor, Nimmo, Alonso. People put in McNeil. Some people leave out McNeil, but I say those four are the
I
core
put him
as
in the
of right
core.
now. Yeah. And, McNeil's not having a good year. Lindor's off to a slow start. Pete may be turning it around. Nimmo's been extremely unlucky so far. But, I still have some confidence in this team. Like I said, this offense can be a very good offense. But from a game perspective, that's all I had.
I
But
just want
there's
to say
just
one thing. I feel like
Yeah.
not Nemo, Jeff McNeil gets very disrespected because of recency bias.
Extremely.
Very. Because granted, last year 98 WRC plus, or OPS plus, so he was like an average player. 2021 87. But you look at his other years. 2018 he had a 136. 2019 143. 2020 130. 2022 140, where he was 15th in the MVP voting, was an All-Star and a Silver Slugger, and you're looking at a guy that, I know batting average isn't everything, but he's one of the best contact hitters in baseball. It's been off to a slow start. To not you saying that people don't include him in the core is ridiculous to me. Like, how can you not, when he was a staple of your lineup for how long, and he's off to a slow start, and if he doesn't have if he has kind of like a league average year after this year, then yeah, I could see that. But right now, I don't see how you could not include him in that core.
Yeah, I agree. And a lot of people are so quick to write him off. I mean, I will put it out there. I'm a little biased because he's one of my favorite players on this team so
But I'm a
far.
Yankee fan. I have no bias
Right.
towards McNeil. But when you
Right.
look at what he's done for this team, it's crazy just to say he's not a part of that like 4-man core.
Yeah, and he is off to a slow start, and a lot of his at-bats have been extremely frustrating. I think that's where a lot of it comes from. It's just last year was a league average year. This year
Not the
he's
same quality of at bats.
right. Yeah, so it's just extremely frustrating when, he signed that contract after his batting champ year in 22, and so far he's shown nothing for it. But, he's a professional hitter. If he's going to turn it around, he will. If not, then come the offseason, you can start having some questions. But until then, I will include him in that.
What was
core
his
four.
contract? It was pretty cheap, right?
It was like four. I forget the total money, but it was like around 4 years, 80, something like that.
Oh, I thought it was cheaper.
It might have been. I'm gonna be honest. I completely forget. But I can
And something
look it up
else with
quick.
McNeil too. This is the only year he's not been a good defender. Every
Yeah.
other year he's been an elite defender, except for 2019 where he was above average. 2018, 83 outs above average, then 59, 71, 91, 95, 83, and then this year he's at 22, so not a good year. But
Right.
his arm strength's also way down, so there could just be like some mechanical thing or something that...
Well, he was dealing with an elbow issue in spring training.
Yeah.
So that's another thing that I, completely just didn't mention with his slow start. Is the elbow still bothering him? That could be a thing, but going back to his contract, 4-year, 50. So you're right.
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought it was like 12, 13 a year.
Yeah, but
you
I believe it does go up after this year, though.
Okay.
So I think he's making like 12, 15 now, but like next year he's making like 20.
Okay.
So it was backloaded.
But still, it's... Even you look at his like advanced numbers, I'm not going to go into all of them. A vast majority of them are better than last year.
Yeah, I was looking at it a few weeks
Kind
ago.
of shocking, but yeah.
From 2022, like if you're looking at 2022, you look at 2024. a lot of the underlying numbers are extremely similar.
Yeah. I think the
The
only,
only,
like, you go.
yeah, I was just gonna say the only big difference I found was in launch angle.
I
Like
wasn't
I
even
think
going to say
yeah.
that, but go on.
What are you gonna say?
I was just going to say the expected
Yeah.
batting average.
Right. Well, yeah.
Yeah, because the expected batting average in 2020, hi Band-Aid, hi Barney, was
Yeah.
94. 2024, it was 46. So it's literally half.
Right. But yeah, I
And
think
everything
that
else is
plays into
similar.
the launch angle thing. He has a higher launch angle this year, which as a more contact
Contact
approach
guy.
hitter,
You want a low
it's
launch angle.
yeah, you kind of want to ride within the like 15-20 range. Not even 15-20, like 10-15 I meant, because I
Yeah.
think he has like a 16 now. But whichever. So who knows if maybe his elbow's still bothering him. But the last thing I wanted to touch on before we
I
let you
have
guys,
launch angle right here. And
yeah, go for
2020,
it.
so in his career, you had 15.5 his rookie year, then 13.8, 11.5, 12, 12.8, last year 14.4, this year 15.4. So up a
Right.
good bit.
Yeah, from like career averages, if you will.
Yeah.
But yeah, enough about Jeff McNeil.
Yeah.
The last thing I want to touch on is Pete Alonso got offered a contract over the offseason, as reported by Joel Sherman. He reportedly turned down a 7-year, $158 million contract.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah. I know they're not
Yeah.
like I don't blame them for turning it down.
Yeah, okay.
Like I know they're not the same caliber of player. I'll get to my point, but that's about the same AAV as Matt Olson, right? Maybe a
Yeah,
little bit
I
higher.
have, it's like $1.5 million higher.
Okay.
Yeah, Matt
So
Olson signed an 8-year, 168.
okay. So obviously Matt Olson deserves the better contract. But you also take in a couple of things that I think something people don't talk about enough when it comes to contracts is taxes. Where I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure Georgia's no income tax state. I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty
I
sure.
can
Then you
I
have New
can
York,
check
who's
it.
if they do, it's one of the lowest. Then you have New York, who's one of the highest, if not the highest. I forget if it's them or California, but you have that. You also have Matt Olson signed that what 3 years ago, 2 years ago.
Yeah, heading into 21.
Yeah, so that's 3 years ago. So average money's gone up how much? Like a lot of money, or a lot. You have a much richer owner. You have a lot more. The culture is. I don't want to say it's a bad culture of taking more money in Queens, but it's just the culture in Atlanta is you don't take the most amount of money. You take a lesser amount of money to be here for longer.
Right.
So combining all that stuff, like I don't. Especially, was Olsen a Boris guy? I'll look that up.
Sure.
I'll look that up really quick, but because Matt Olson agent, if I could spell. Okay, I can't find it. If you could find that. But Pete Alonso obviously has Scott Boras, who he is looking for the most amount of money, and even in the offseason, how many times did you see Boras say no to big deals to get like apparently the Yankees rumored like 6-year 180 or whatever to Snell, whatever it was, and they declined it and look what he got instead. So I'm not surprised at that at all.
Yeah. I also can't find Olsen's agent, so it's probably not Boris if his name isn't plastered when you search it up. But yeah, I don't blame Alonso for rejecting it. It's 22 and a half AAV. A lot of people I've been seeing are like, oh, like, obviously from fans when
I have it by the way,
player.
BB Abbott.
Okay, so yeah, not
Never.
Boris. But a lot of fans are, oh, he rejected it. Like, he's going to regret that. I wouldn't offer him anything else, yada, yada, yada. But I personally, look, you're never coming into a contract negotiation putting your best offer on the table as the first offer. And it makes sense, but I think this is a pretty lowball offer.
I
I
agree.
think the years are around there, the total money, not so much. I think at the end of the day, it's going to start for 2.
He has a very
But
sorry to cut you off, but
yeah,
he has
go
a
for it.
very intriguing list because he has Byron Buxton, he had Brian McCann and Chipper Jones. He has where was the thing I was just looking at? Charlie Morton, Brent Honeywell and Mike Zunino are kind of like the big ones. So he does have a.
Huh.
He's not a no-name agent. I just wanted to.
Yeah.
Because I was looking at that. But go on.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, Olsen is obviously the big one, but Freddie Freeman, he signed. Well, first of all, I believe Alonso is going to be 30. Yes, he's going to be 30 in December. So going into next year, he'll be 30, just to put that out there. Freeman signed a 6-year, 162 contract, which is 27 AAV at 32. And then you go, even before that, Paul Goldschmidt, he at 32, age 32, 5 years, 130, around 26 AAV.
And that was a while ago too, right?
I thought it was a while ago too. It was only 2020.
Well, that's what I meant by a while ago. 2020.
Yeah. So yeah.
I was thinking 2019, 2020.
And I believe, because Boris, of course, I believe he is looking more towards the Prince Fielder contracts, which was a 9-year, 214, which was an average annual salary of 24 a year. Joey Votto, I think, is someone else he mentioned. Signed a 10-year, 225. So that's like 22.5 mil a year. So
Curious.
I
If it's
think
also
you're.
a Teixeira contract, because I'm pretty sure Teixeira
Yeah.
was Boris.
Yeah,
Teixeira
I'm sure
was
he's looked into.
a while ago was 8 years, 180, and that
Right,
was probably
so-
like 15 years ago.
Right.
I'll get you the exact. Yeah, he signed it in 2009, and I will.
Okay.
I'll look into his agent, but actually, never
Yeah.
mind. He was Casey Close, but
Okay.
regardless.
Yeah. So I think this is a good starting point.
Yeah.
I'll put that out there. Like 22.5 is solid. 7 years for a 30-year-old first baseman, solid. It's the total money that's a little iffy, I think.
You're probably gonna
I
have to add
think-
like 5 AAV on that. If
Yeah,
you want to
let me
like
get
keep,
my-
because me personally, I wouldn't want more than 7 years. Like
Yeah.
8, like if for Alonso, I think you could
I think
push
8.
out 8. But
Yeah.
realistically, if you don't want to do that an extra year, you're gonna have to add 5 or 6 AAV.
Yeah, I
Something
have
like
my little
35,
book
40 million.
here going when I was just doing stuff on my own. I think this was even before the podcast. Going into 2023, I was looking at it. I was looking at contracts. I pegged it at 8 years, 210. Is what I
Yeah.
have written down here. You can't see it, but it's up there. 8 years, 210.
Yeah.
I think that's probably where it's going to end up. You know, every time the media talks about it, it's like, oh, he's going to want Judge money. He wants, like,
He's a first
you know,
baseman. Like as
Right.
much as we love Pete Alonso, he's a first baseman.
right. He's a first baseman who, I'll admit, a lot of the underlying stuff is on the decline a little bit, like average exit velocity, stuff like that, has been dipping down the
His
past
best years were
year or
when the
so.
ball was juiced. His
Right.
best year. So, not saying he's a juice ball merchant, but just important to
Right.
note.
Take it. Right. 2022 and 2023 were solid years, but last year, he played hurt a little bit, so maybe that has something to do with it. But and then he starts off slow this year. But yeah, I think it's important to note that like this, at least they had conversations. Like they started talking about it before the season began, which I think is pretty huge. So they have a starting point.
Mhm.
And look, it happened with Judge, right? They offered him a contract right before
Yeah.
the year, and then he obviously had a historical year and made his fair share of money. But they have a starting point. They started talking about it. It's out in the open. So I think I take that as a good thing, and it's a good starting point. So considering that we really didn't have anything before this, a little more optimistic that they resign him. Not a huge jump, but the fact that they started negotiating and they have probably, I would say, a decent starting point is pretty big.
Yeah, I definitely would. Especially what you were saying earlier, like you can't see it without the first number being a 2. I agree with that
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah. So that's really the last thing I wanted to touch on. But if you have anything else to add,
Nah.
no. All right. Well, with that being said, thank you guys once again for listening to the Graduate Triboro Podcast. If you liked what you heard, be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube. I have something stuck in my throat. We are on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook. Did I say YouTube? Whichever.
You said YouTube.
At Triboro Podcast. It's okay. We are on Spotify, Triboro Podcast. Follow us there. Leave us a rating. And yeah, so thank you guys again for watching and or listening. We will see you in the next episode.